But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's fucking Blizzard. All they care about is money, so we'll see. Oh, I forgot to do... Yeah. Okay, anyways, on to the next. What do we got? I guess let's do the Schedule 1 problem? What's going on with this?
It's becoming for some of these indie games to come out of left field.
Oh, sorry. Fuck.
Have you guys noticed how increasingly more common it's becoming for some of these indie games to come out of left field and just absolutely decimate? I'm talking player numbers and sales that are embarrassing AAA games. Games made by one guy beating teams of 1,000 developers, tens of thousands if we're going to count Ubisoft in this conversation. Well, probably not for long.
Yeah, my first game, I was thinking
Schedule
of
1
making
is a game
like
about friendship. It's about making connections. It's about starting from the bottom and working your way up. It's a game about drugs. It's a game about drugs, which makes it all the more ironic for how addicting the game is to play. But I'm seeing this game all over the place. It's on Twitter, it's on Reddit, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitch. My buddy who just got his first gaming PC opens up Steam for the first time, and it's the first game that he buys. Games like Schedule 1 are becoming a problem. Because these games are beating out games that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to make their games. They're doing it without any marketing. And worst of all, they're cutting out the middleman. You can't have that.
You can't
because
have that.
Once you start doing those kind of things, when you have that kind of freedom to create and you're reaching that kind of success, you're going to start to attract some unwanted attention. And that's exactly where Schedule 1 is today. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about the insane success of Schedule 1, my experience playing it, and why an industry that's ran by investors can't let games like this exist. Okay. Schedule 1 released 2 weeks ago, and within days, it had already climbed the Steam charts. As of recording this video, it is #1 top seller on Steam. It is #4 for concurrent players. And it recently...
Wait, hold on. Say that again?
And within days, it had already climbed the Steam charts. As of recording this video, it is #1 top seller on Steam.
#1 top seller, eh? And there you go.
Steam, it is #4 for concurrent players.
4 for concurrent players. Damn. Wait, can't you play like with friends too? Isn't that why? That's probably why. Isn't it a co-op game?
And it recently hit a peak of over 450,000 concurrent players, and now averaging 340,000 concurrent players per day. It's currently outperforming Path of Exile, which just released new content, edging out Monster Hunter Wilds after
people
its
don't
first
like the
idle
new
update,
content,
and it's completely humiliating the quadruple A spectacle that is Assassin's Creed Shadows. Schedule 1 is another entry in what is becoming an increasingly common trend. Indie developers releasing games with little to no marketing and watching them explode across the internet. Think Undertale, Stardew Valley, Vampire Survivors, Valheim, Palworld, Balatro. Games made by a single developer or a tiny team delivering exactly what players have been missing and absolutely dominating the charts. The game was developed by Tyler, an independent developer out of Sydney, Australia, working under the name Tyler's Video Game Studio. I laugh every single time I read that. Tyler handled nearly every aspect of the game himself, designing the game, programming it, systems, and the art, but he had some help with collaborators like K-Soul, who's the one that composed the game's catchy soundtrack. Seriously, I've been jamming that music in the background while I've been writing now, and Cody 2, who created some of the game's graffiti. Now, despite its niche, the game has resonated with an enormous audience, and I think part of that has to do with the genre. Schedule 1, at its core, is just a crafting sim. You start with nothing, and you work your way up through progressively more complex crafting systems, increasing your wealth, unlocking more neighborhoods, and expanding your influence. It's a familiar loop, or one that I've definitely hooked myself on quite a lot with games like Terraria, Valheim,
there's
Shrouded,
a lot of
or Minecraft, but
other
Schedule 1's twist is the plot. You're essentially a small-time dealer growing your own product, refining it, selling it, and building out a crew to be able to help you scale out. I've personally sunk over 50 hours into the game now, and I've nearly unlocked everything short of the final neighborhood. And I'm completely sold. I keep playing the game every chance that I get. I love games like this, open-ended crafting sims where you get to define the pace yourself, experiment with systems, and
like
you get to feel like your time that you're investing into the game directly translates to actual growth within that game. You can be methodical, you can squeeze every little bit of value out of all of your resources, or you can brute force your way through, scaling up as fast as possible. Hell, you can even automate the entire process, so the game basically just plays itself. It's up to you. Don't laugh at me for getting technical, but what I think makes this game really special is how seamlessly it transitions between its two core gameplay loops, production and social progression. The first loop, growing and crafting, is simple at first. Plant a seed, water it, harvest the flower. But over time, you start to get access to additives, fertilizers, environmental controls, and scalable infrastructure. Every plant that has its own unique traits, cost, potency, NPC demand that comes in the mixing system where you can start to enhance products with different effects, like making NPCs shoot out lightning, walk around on clouds, or turn them into aliens or zombies. It's ridiculous, but it serves a purpose to increase the product's price and its appeal to your customers.
I wonder,
I found myself
can you
lost
make
here
pills
for hours experimenting with different mixtures and different orders of those mixtures and different effects that they could have, and now I have an 8-buff recipe, completely automated, and it's listing the product for over $1,000. That feels good. Which then that brings me to the game's second loop, networking. And as your operation grows, you start to target different specific NPCs based on their preferences. You start to build rapport, earn trust, unlock new customers.
Well, I mean, you're essentially doing human
and eventually get
trafficking
access
already
to
with
new
all the
suppliers. They're
fucking
going to boost your overall operation. It's a system that blends an emergent strategy with good old-fashioned trial and error, and it's surprisingly deep. Look, I'll be honest with you guys, I completely assumed that this game's popularity was mostly due to its shock value. It's not every day that you see a game about selling powder and flour to cartoon NPCs become a top seller, but the longer I played, the more I realized how satisfying all of its core systems really are. It's not just the subject matter, it's how involved you are in the process.
Games,
and honestly, I think that's something that a lot of modern games have largely forgotten.
Like
in a lot of ways, the game actually reminds me of all the things that I really loved about Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a crazy comparison to make when you think about it. But when you're crafting a potion in that game, you're picking the herbs, you're grinding them manually, you're boiling them, you're maximizing your yield based on real input, you're smithing swords with a hammer and timing it perfectly, you're controlling the temperature, you're properly sharpening weapons. This game makes you feel like you're doing that sort of work. Schedule 1, despite its goofy presentation, accomplishes something very similar here. You're adding ingredients, you're testing combinations, you're watching the effects, packaging your own product, and you're hitting the streets to make sales. The feedback loop is immediate and immersive, and it's not about watching a progress bar, it's about feeling like you're actually earning something by doing it. And it never loses its charm. The art style is crude in a deliberate way, full of absurd and surreal-looking NPCs with exaggerated animations. You're hiding in dumpsters. The game's fastest vehicle is a golden skateboard, and you're brewing concoctions that warp the laws of nature itself. But underneath all of that madness is a tight, responsive, and deeply satisfying gameplay loop. You're laughing 1 minute, and you're planning your expansion strategy the next. I love that every system feeds into one another. Want to automate your production? Well, you're going to need to build out, buy some infrastructure, and hire some employees. Want to scale up quickly? Well, you're going to need to build rep with your suppliers to be able to make more product. Want to maximize your profit? Well, you're going to need to mix with precision and cater to customer demand. Yet at the exact same time, you can ignore all of that if you want, but if you want to dive in, you're rewarded for it. There's a surprising amount of freedom in how you approach everything. You can have your crew pushing your product while you're the one that's focusing on crafting. You can work solo and micromanage every step. You can run your empire in real time during the day and then focus on restocking and production at night. The game never really forces you into one particular play style, but everything feels intuitive enough that you always feel like you're making some sort of progress. I think what Schedule 1 proves, yet again in this case, especially when it comes to these indie games, is that the gap between indie and AAA has never been wider. I mean, I never take the time to analyze or even notice these kind of things if they even exist in AAA games. Their games are so bloated, overproduced, obsessed with cutscenes and cinematic presentation, often to the detriment of the actual experience. Schedule 1 is the opposite, and I love games like this. So do the players. That's obvious enough. It's lean, it's focused, it's gameplay first, and it works because it never forgets what players are actually here for, to play. Schedule 1 only costs $20. It delivers potentially hundreds of hours of content, strong systems, tons of replay value, and a surprising amount of multiplayer depth. It didn't need a cinematic trailer. It didn't need a live action ad campaign. It didn't need pre-order bonuses or influencer hype. It just needed to be good, and that was enough. This is going to sound ridiculous. I'm trying to think of the best way to be able to explain it. The graffiti on the wall
How about you fucking pike
is
yourself?
oddly relatable. Makes me feel like one of my friends could have made this game. And I think that has something to do with the game's popularity. Because The inside jokes, the naming of the different products that you can put into stuff, the naming of the product that comes out in the end. I got the whole block hooked on Gorilla Smegma.
Yo, Druckmann is punching air.
Fucking hilarious, dude.
What?
And
what happened
that's
with Neil
endearing.
Druckmann now?
You want to see that.
Didn't something
you
come
see
out
yourself in the game, and you feel like you can relate to the person who made it. I don't feel that way with a lot of games. And I haven't for a long time. And I think that's an incredibly important connection to be able to make. It's one of the intangibles of game design where you feel like your humor, imagination, your interests are shared by the people that made it. You feel vindicated in that. Like you have something in common.
Yeah, I mean, this is better than fucking Last
It's called
of
being
Us.
in touch with your audience.
Okay.
And I think just about anybody can say that this industry has been way out of touch with its audience for a long time. And I've played a lot of games since starting this channel. And at this point, I'm starting to feel like these game developers live in an alternate universe. Nothing feels relatable to me. Everything has to be a tangent to what's going on in the real world.
I think he disabled his Instagram account because the show is premiering. I can't find his account.
It's just not necessary. $20. Another $20 game goes on to sell millions of copies, making a solo developer a millionaire overnight.
What?
You know, when this game released and it immediately started to find some popularity, the developer went and put the game on sale. Who does that? Somebody that wants to make money. Somebody that knows what you need to do.
Look, these people know how. Yeah,
make it fairly priced. People buy it. Crazy concept. I know. This isn't rocket science. How many times have I seen these developers that are basically trying to learn astrology to figure out what players want?
Oh, this is the season Joel dies? Oh, so
then you have a game
is this
that makes it where you can put horse glaze and chili powder into something to set somebody's hair on fire and give them a long face. Monkey brain like. Me like game. Me give money. It's not that hard.
All the memories are going to be flooded back.
That scares these C-suite executives because they don't understand the popularity, the virality, the relatability of these games because they can't reproduce it. They can't crack the code on this kind of thing. And because of that, their only answer is to suppress it. It's actually kind of insane how often we're seeing some of these viral indie hits run straight into some form of cold corporate or bureaucratic resistance, whether it's from platform policies, rating boards, legal ambiguity, or flat out attempts to suppress or discredit them. There is a growing pattern here. A developer releases something fresh and unexpected, it takes off, and suddenly they're in the crosshairs. Not because they did anything wrong, but because they succeeded outside of the system. When you take a moment to look at the legal and bureaucratic minefield that these indie developers have to tiptoe around just to be able to release a game, it's genuinely surprising that we ever see anything original at all.
Australia,
Modern gaming landscape isn't built to encourage creativity. It's structured to protect existing power, intellectual property, and investor interests. In some ways, the system is designed to suffocate innovation unless it's coming from an approved source.
I mean, that's how it is for
got slammed by ratings boards for supposedly promoting gambling just because it used poker hands in a scoring system despite
the
no
Peggy
real
stuff,
gambling mechanics
all those guys
in the
are
game
fucked
whatsoever.
in the head.
Palworld came under fire for copying Pokemon,
it's
even
because
though
they're all
the gameplay
bureaucratic
is wildly
shitheads.
different because Nintendo's patent net is so wide that even breathing now seems like it's
know what the
lawsuit-worthy.
fuck
I mean, while in
they're
litigation
okay with
Pocket Pair,
movies,
Nintendo is still trying to file new patents to
I don't even
retroactively
think
catch
movies
them
have that
it's
much
reaching
of
a
a
point where
headache,
making a
but
game
for
that even
video
feels
games, for
familiar
some
or is
reason,
using
it's a
visual
fucking
shorthand that
headache.
players understand
It's so
can get you
stupid.
pulled from storefronts and buried in lawsuits. Now we
They're
have
the
Schedule
fucking
1
double
going through the
standards,
same mess,
man.
originally reported on by Andrew Heighton
They're
of
literally
Insider
almost
Gaming in
the
an
same
article titled
fucking
Schedule
medium.
1 being investigated for IP copyright infringement claims. They write, evidence on the investigation surfaced on a website, Pab Business, featuring a document entitled Movie Games Essay 17-2025, Decision to Commence Investigation Against the Creators of Schedule 1 Production for claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and related to committing an act of unfair competition against it. Movie Games SA has its own series of drug dealing games, Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and Drug Dealer Simulator 2. While the name is more overt than its goal, both titles have attracted thousands of players respectively. The legal document mentions potential infringement of the issuer's intellectual property rights and activities that bear characteristics of unfair competition have been identified.
Oh, it's on the
it's
on the PS5. I had no idea.
Proceedings began as soon as Schedule 1 released on March 24th and featured a comparative analysis of the IP, which includes Drug Dealer Simulator and Drug Dealer Simulator 2 and the Schedule 1 project. The investigation is strongly looking into elements of the game's plot, mechanics, as well as UI user interface. It finishes by saying the issuer will immediately inform about further actions related to the pursuit of claims regarding the infringement of the issuer's IP and the act of unfair competition in subsequent current reports. Yeah, I'm going to take a wild guess here and say the unfair competition they're referring to is the part where Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 combined couldn't even crack 20,000 players, while Schedule 1 is one of the most talked about and played games on Steam right now. At least with Nintendo and Palworld, you could kind of see where that lawsuit was coming from. The creature designs, the ball throwing mechanics, they were all surface level elements that were echoing Pokemon.
I mean,
even with Temtem, they got out of the way of Nintendo by making sure they were using.
And then you also have all new people who don't have
this investigation against Schedule 1 feels completely out of pocket. It's not just a stretch; it's embarrassing that they're even trying. I've taken the time to check it out, and Schedule 1 doesn't really share anything structurally significant with their games whatsoever. The crafting, the progression loops, the interface, the tone, it's all completely different. To be honest, Ubisoft has a stronger claim against them ripping off a Far Cry than they do against Schedule 1. In their games, you start off as a low-level pusher working for somebody else, then slowly build out your own operation. It leans way harder into weighing product, micromanaging dead drops, dodging rival gangs, and ferrying shipments across different islands. It's less of a game and more of a chore simulator. Sure, they both have similar themes, but if having drugs as your premise is going to be the trigger for legal
honestly, it all comes down to like the whole patent bullshit they're trying to probably pull. Right, you do have to be careful with some of these companies and what kind of patents they have, because that could fuck people over. I mean, you already saw it with fucking Nintendo and Palworld, right? Yeah, you do have to be careful, because these guys are right. A lot of the big companies are fucking sue happy, right? They will do it.
By that logic, are they going to go after Breaking Bad next? After news of the investigation broke, media outlets jumped the gun and ran with headlines saying that Schedule 1...
If Neil Dickman had a chance to fucking throw every defamation lawsuit he could against people who fucking vilified his game or like criticized his game heavily, oh man. Fucking Dez would have a fucking field day on people, man.
One was facing an active lawsuit. The internet then did what it does best. Players flooded Drug Dealer Simulator 1 and 2 with negative reviews, dragging the game into a storm that they weren't ready for. In response to this, the developers posted a statement on Steam clarifying the situation. To paraphrase a little bit, they're saying that there is no lawsuit, that they're not trying to shut down Schedule 1, and the investigation was only launched after repeated comparisons between the two games raised concerns. Since Movie Games SA is a publicly traded company, they claim that they are legally obligated to investigate potential infringement and disclose it through proper stock market channels. ESPI.
Nintendo says
the media then picked it up from there, and the story spiraled out of control. They also then clarified, saying that the developer of Drug Dealer Simulator, Byte Runners, isn't involved at all. It's strictly a publisher-level decision. The post then closes with them insisting that there is no bad blood and that they even sent Schedule 1's developer best wishes before the game blew up. But whether it's legal obligation or damage control, it's clear that this isn't the kind of attention that they were expecting. And this is where things get really weird for me, because there was a second response, and this time it was from the actual developers at Byte Runners, where I think the first response was actually written by their publisher, and it's kind of a plot twist. In a statement that they posted on Twitter, Rafal, the CEO and developer of the Drug Dealer Simulator series, basically said, "We had no idea that this was happening." According to him, the development team wasn't informed of the investigation at all, and they only found out when the story blew up online, claiming that they were just as blindsided as everyone else. He writes, "In light of the recent Movie Games versus Schedule 1 legal investigation controversy, I would like to state that we, Byte Runners, the development studio behind Drug Dealer Simulator series, do not have any ill intentions towards neither Schedule 1, TVGS, or the game community. Actions taken by our publisher, Movie Games SA, are a part of an internal policy and business interest, which we have no influence over. We were not informed of their plans and were also surprised by this course of action. We are currently in talks with Movie Games on this matter. For now, we do not want to publicly neither condone nor approve of the actions before these talks have come to any conclusions."
Oh.
I think basically this dude is saying, we don't know if it's good or bad for us yet, so we need to wait to figure it out. We would like to ask everyone on both DDS and Schedule 1 communities to be patient and not spread unnecessary negativity or misinformation. We congratulate the success of Schedule 1 to TVGS and would like every gamer to enjoy and support any game they choose.
Right?
Our main focus as the dev team is improving the DDS IP, which also includes learning on the Schedule 1 massive success and its and our community feedback on it. All we ask for now is your understanding. The tone here couldn't be any more different from the original Steam post, where the publisher had framed the investigation as a necessary legal procedure. The developer comes off as almost embarrassed by the entire thing. Then they go out of their way to distance themselves from the publisher's actions, saying that they don't condone or approve of anything yet? What does that even mean? And now they're just waiting for internal talks? I'm just going to go with my gut here and say they didn't expect the backlash to be this bad. There is no chance. There is no way that you are going to convince me that your publisher, without any communication, suddenly launched a legal investigation on your behalf using your game as a basis without you knowing anything about it. That is not how legal prep works.
That's
to even
funny.
begin an investigation like this, you need access to build files, source assets, system documentation, something from the development team to be able to make the comparisons necessary for a legitimate IP case. So either you were involved and now you're walking it back, or your publisher went rogue and dragged you into a legal case without any warning and snuck into your office and stole the files. Neither one of those look very good. And even if for whatever reason Byte Runners wasn't involved in this decision, I'm sorry, this is what comes to the territory when you sign up with the publisher. Tyler didn't. He developed and published Schedule 1 himself. Every decision he makes, every success or controversy, it's all on him. But once you hand over the reins to a publisher, you are also signing up for all of their baggage, the legal departments, the investor meetings, the risk management, the corporate damage control. You don't get to opt out when it gets uncomfortable.
He's just trying to do some damage control.
The investigation was already in motion before the game
under a lot of pressure.
Total bullshit. The investigation was formally initiated on April 3rd.
Him
Schedule 1 launched on March 24th, and by the 30th, it had already hit over 400,000 concurrent players. This wasn't some long-planned legal strategy. Otherwise, why would you guys have sent them a congratulations email? It was a knee-jerk response to getting blown out of the water. I don't know about you guys, but from where I'm sitting, this looks like a textbook case of a publisher, and more likely their board of directors and shareholders panicking over the fact that the game that they backed didn't deliver, while a solo developer just ate their lunch in broad daylight. So now they're trying to claw back some relevance and revenue through legal pressure instead of actually trying to make games that people want to play. It's all retaliatory. It's all bitter, and it reeks of a system that sees creativity as not something to nurture, it's something to control. Now, I actually posted this in a response on Twitter to the Byte Runner CEO's letter to the players, but I basically said, yeah, this must suck to be completely powerless in this situation, but this is exactly what you signed up for. And honestly, the more that I think about it, this probably explains why so many of these self-published indie games are blowing up, while these smaller studios tied to these tiny publishers are scraping by. Creative freedom, no bureaucracy, no boardroom full of guys in suits that are second-guessing your every move, just a developer and an idea. And honestly, that's probably the conversation that we really need to be having here, because this isn't just about one game or one legal spat. There needs to be a bigger push towards independence in video game development. Too many of these publishers aren't interested in creating anything. They don't build worlds, they don't design mechanics, they don't tell stories. What they do is manage, and in that management, they influence the industry more than they contribute to it. Their primary goal isn't to support creativity, it's to control outcomes. They want to shape trends, shape players, shape spending habits. And when they fund something, that comes with strings attached. Strings that always pull in the direction of risk aversion or maximizing profits. Sure, publishers offer funding and infrastructure. They offer visibility, marketing pipelines, access to networks, but it comes at the cost of freedom, a voice of innovation. How many times have we heard stories about developers that were pressured into adding in microtransactions that they didn't want to put into their game? Or how many times have we heard about games that were forced to pivot towards live service even when that didn't fit their vision? These decisions rarely come from...
If you're going to be like a software engineer, a video game developer is basically a software engineer. Because they basically have to think about the front end and the back end of the fucking video game, right? So, I mean... if you really think about it, a computer scientist can do all these fucking things. They just have to fucking, right? I have to have the certain pipeline to do it, right?
From the development team themselves, they come from people upstairs. People staring at spreadsheets.
Yeah, even for me, just doing some of the work that I've been doing, as long as you, know how to work through the pipeline, you can get things done relatively okay.
It's not playtest. People who see creativity as a variable that needs to be managed, not a driving force. From my perspective, in many ways, publishers become the industrialists of this medium. They're more concerned with scalability and litigation than actually making games themselves. They commodify everything about the creative process. They strip out the rough edges, the weird ideas, the risk, and replace them with something that fits into their monetization model of the moment. And then they sit back wondering why none of these games are resonating, why they're failing to meet their sales targets. It's not the players that are the problem. It's not the developers that are the problem. It's the layer.
Yeah, honestly, people just have to look at base game, the base foundation of a game, right? What kind of game do you want it to be? A 2D game? You want it to be a side scroller, right? Want to be some kind of action game? A puzzle game. I don't know. And then, when you start thinking about those games, or those types of, blueprints, right? Then you start looking up some video games and see, okay, this game does it, this game does it, this game does it. And then just find some commonalities between those games and then just try to put it in your game. Start small. Because obviously you're not going to fucking put everything in there.
That's in between the suits that are trying to systemize everything that's not meant to be a system in the first place. And the more games that we see, like Schedule 1, that are succeeding without them, the more obvious that becomes. I think a lot of these publishers...
The senior design class that I'm in right now as well, there's tons of people doing video games in there. Doing okay. I mean, obviously, it's not gonna be like some fucking AAA company or AA company, or some well-to-do single A company that has funds for all this shit, right? They're just students learning.
And executives that are running these companies are the biggest barrier to creativity and
someone's
success
making a
for the vast
Tetris. I think in my class, someone's making a Tetris game.
They don't outright build anything.
Someone's making like a asteroid destroyer, that one asteroid destroyer game. There's people. I think someone's using Godot. Someone's using JavaScript and making the Tetris game. There's someone making a cooking game. I mean, look. Just plan out something. Because the class I'm in is a 3-month class, and they're doing the whole methodology, the whole. We got to do a report. We got to pick and choose features and all that. So we got to do a lot of shit. It's fucking annoying. It's a lot of clerical work, I guess administrative work and fucking making a fucking manual, and then showing demos, and then showing the results, showing graphs, if you have that. Well, depending on what kind of fucking project you're working on,
Anything themselves, they just go out of their way to try to control it or squash it if it threatens their margins in any way, and that sucks. Not just for us, the players, but also for the people that are making these games. I mean, patent laws.
Oh yeah, and this senior design project is basically a full stack project, right? And all the students have to do a project on their own. So yeah, you either have to make a website, a phone app, or a video game.
In general, in the video game
and they got 3 months to do it.
Any sense whatsoever. All these layers of red tape for something that just shouldn't be there in the first place. Even if a developer isn't trying to copy something, they're just gonna ignore it or try not to be anything like it. Just
I mean, at the end of the day, right? Computer scientists are developers, or at least, well, you should be. That's if that's what you got your degree in, right? If you're coding or programming or messing with any computer programming, you should have an extent to know that you can do video games.
The implicit
especially
threat
with some of
that comes from legal action
and data structure,
they just stay away from
algorithms.
That's why we sit back and wonder why we haven't seen a game like this again, or that, or whatever it might be. You know, in theory, publishers are supposed to be there to be able to make things easier for developers. They're supposed to be able to take care of all the noise, and then developers just focus on doing what they do best, making video games, and that's about it. But the minute that you start handing over all of that power, all of a sudden you find out that you don't really get to make a whole lot of decisions on your own anymore.
I mean, well,
that's what's happened.
Well, you bog it down by these people who don't know fucking video games or computer programming language. And they want you to put in these fucking weird ass shit sometimes. They basically want to stifle your creativity. So that's it. They want to fuck you up. That's all they want to do. They want to fucking shit on your work. Right? They employ you to fucking eat shit and die.
To some of these people. When you get in bed with these guys, this is the end result of that. They go out and attack your competition. How does that feel? I can't imagine that feels very good. These guys are creatives. They want to make games. They want other people to be inspired by their work and make games of their own. And now you have to sit back
computer science.
I'm sorry, man, but you're not innocent in that. And you know, we feel the effects of it too.
If you're a computer scientist, you could kill people.
We still get some great games, but at the exact same time, I mean, I've had a really weird feeling that things have just kind of felt samey for a really long time. Very samey, very safe in a lot of cases. And I think that comes from the fact that, you know, if any game tries to make a game like Pokemon, they're going to get scared away, or they're going to get sued into oblivion.
Yeah.
So many mechanics. I mean, look at the way that Nintendo has litigated and patented.
Well, I mean,
just about
like
everything.
I said, you got to watch out for the patents and shit. Right? Because some of these companies, like I said, sue happy. You never know when they're going to come fucking knocking on your door and saying, "Hey, bitch, you got a lawsuit, or you got a cease and desist. You're going to have to take down your fucking game." And then that's going to be fucking real annoying because you probably worked on it for a while. And then look at Pirate Software being a piece of shit. I'm sorry. God damn.
Doing the same
I'm
thing.
Sorry.
Look at WB Games and the Nemesis system. Something that would revolutionize
he's just the
RPGs,
most recent case
and we'll
of
never see it.
Him getting a little
there's such a poison to this industry.
Of,
it's insane.
People attacking him.
And
I mean,
you look around and notice almost every single one of these breakout hits have always been
just make jokes about it.
And in some cases where these developers did go through a publisher, the only reason they did that was to be able to protect their identity.
Yeah.
There needs to be more options for that. That needs to be nurtured and taken care of. There needs to be more developers that are making games themselves, publishing games themselves, and there needs to be an easier way for these guys to get onto platforms without the need of a publisher. There's already...
I mean, you can technically do that. I mean, let's be real. I could technically make a video game, right? Build a website for myself, if I really wanted to. Make some kind of, like, Patreon account or some kind of fucking, PayPal account and say, hey, you have to pay me for this download of this video game that I made, right? I mean, you could technically do that. I don't know what kind of fucking companies are going to come after you, because as soon as they see you making a game and then they see some type of inspiration from one of their games, they're going to be looking at you, right, with the magnifying glass at that time. And then they're going to be like, well, he does look like he has some things, some mechanics or some weird bullshit, maybe UI or whatever the case is. Maybe it's a pixel or some fucking weird thing. Whatever the case is. Right? These companies can just get sue happy, right, if they wanted to.
Ways for them. You don't even need publishers.
Right? I mean, there's no... no one's stopping these people from throwing a lawsuit, right? If they really wanted to, they could throw a frivolous lawsuit, and they would actually have to investigate it wholeheartedly to make sure that it's a false, right? A false thing. So, that happens too, so I don't...
Sure, for like legal and patent and stuff like that, hire a lawyer, man.
Oh, yeah,
why are you handing away all of your profit, all of your control to a bunch of people that don't want to have anything to do with the creative process whatsoever?
Yeah, look, when it comes to, right, when you start making a game and when you start getting into legal action about patent laws and stuff like that, just get a fucking lawyer, man. You don't want to fucking deal with that shit. You don't want to deal with that headache. You don't want to deal with that noise. Right? Just hire a lawyer.
It just doesn't make any sense.
You could probably find some pro bono lawyer that can easily take on your case. Right? It's probably not. It's probably going to be something fast. They can probably make a quick write up or something, a statement. They wouldn't even have to research that long, to be honest. And that's since some of those pro bono guys know, like, I guess they should know what to look up, especially when it comes to some of these stuff.
Your games online with no problem.
Pro bono meaning they do it for free.
Marketing whatsoever. Schedule 1 had next to no marketing whatsoever. Valheim had no marketing whatsoever.
But you would have to look around.
There's so many more examples that I could give of games that never had an ad or a commercial or anything like that. They were just on Steam. People played it. People liked it. Spread by word of mouth. Fair price, good game, people go buy it. As far as it needs to go. That's what needs to happen. We need more of it.
Oh yeah, that also, maybe some of these guys take consultation fees too. I don't know. I don't know how pro bono people should... I don't think they take fees. I don't think they do. Because that would defeat the purpose of, right, doing work for free for credit. But yeah.
And I want that to be a big focus. I think Steam is the leader in that. Steam's definitely the one that's been pushing and helping a lot of these indie developers be able to find their legs in the industry. And I appreciate that.
Just find a lawyer.
I think everybody does. There's a lot of games that we would have never had if it wasn't for Steam.
Fucking lawfare patent bullshit. Just get them.
Thank God for Gavin. Anyway.
That'll reduce
I hope you guys
headache.
Enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video,
because then you're going to have to do it yourself.
Comment down
below.
Gonna
be
share
like,
the video.
I don't even know
where
it
on social media. Come watch me on Twitch.
As do everyone.
Come join the Discord. Come hang out. Stay cool. Stay righteous. Stay safe. I'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Have a good one. Family. Yes, family. Thank you for the information. So yeah, apparently Schedule 1 might be in some legal hot seat. I don't think so. I mean, usually, yeah. Whenever there's a whiff of the of any dev or company trying to do some lawfare bullshit, just get a lawyer. Find a lawyer. Just be on the safe side. Find a lawyer. Find a pro bono lawyer if you can. That can easily do something, right? But you're gonna have to be doing a little bit of interviewing, right?
Have you guys noticed how increasingly more common?
Anyways, there you have it. Schedule 1 from Legendary Drop.